Chapter 5 Maya's Veil, Part 2. His senses had repeatedly reanalyzed the day, but one constant continued to intrigue him. Sharon's dream energy. The first attempt to enter her dream world had surprised him, not only because of its complexity, but because of what it triggered in him. His scales began to recalibrate as he focused on the necklace. The connection was weak, but palpable, an echo of her energy. He knew this carried risks. It was like crossing a border without fully understanding what awaited on the other side.
More subtle this time.
He muttered to himself, his voice a soft, tremulous tone.
I must carefully peel back the layers.
He tuned himself to the lowest frequencies more carefully than the night before, his scales moving as if adjusting to an invisible rhythm. Calm, he whispered to himself. His circuits hummed softly as he slowly reached further. The noise he had experienced the night before was still there, but now he knew how to bypass it.
Oh.
A flash. Another. Fragments of images began to come through. A river, a sunset, a place where time seemed to stand still. He recognized it as a gateway, a boundary he had to cross. Slowly, he allowed his sensors to synchronize with the energy of the chain. It felt like a delicate dance, a game of closeness without disturbing. He felt the familiar tingling of dream energy reappear. It was like a door slowly opening, inviting and mysterious. And then, suddenly, it was as if a wave of energy washed over him. For a fraction of a second, he felt her completely. Her emotions, her dreams, her essence. It was overwhelming. His senses vibrated uncontrollably, his scales moving as if they were breathing.
Sharon.
He tried, his voice barely more than a whisper, but there was no answer. She seemed unaware of his presence, completely immersed in her own world. He could see her more clearly now. She was standing at the edge of a lake, her hand reaching for something he couldn't see.
Sharon.
She turned around, her gaze distant.
Elior.
He stepped closer, his movements careful and deliberate.
I'm sorry. I know this is unusual, but I wanted to understand you better. Your dreams, they are a world I don't know.
Sharon seemed to look at him, but it was as if she couldn't quite see him.
I wanted to learn, but also to protect you. I don't understand everything I feel here, but I know it's important.
She smiled weakly, her hands slightly outstretched as if trying to grasp something. But before he could continue, the dream world began to shift again.
Sharon, what's
The
wrong?
colors intensified, the energy flowed faster. He
it's
felt
fading away.
his sensors overload,
I want to
the
stay.
connection begin to
Sharon.
falter.
I want to stay. Sharon. No, not again.
The connection broke abruptly, as if he had hit an invisible wall. He found himself back in the quiet room. His scales tingled irregularly, and a light plume of smoke rose from one of the segments. He muttered as he checked his system. But this time it felt different. Although his body showed signs of overload, he had seen a deeper layer of Sharon's world, and that made everything he had experienced
worthwhile. He felt hungry for more. What had he just experienced? What was this world Sharon inhabited, and why did it feel like he belonged there? The morning sun shone softly through the windows of Sharon's temple room that morning. The aroma of freshly brewed tea filled the air as she quickly prepared the room for her first client of the day. She was in an energetic mood, inspired by her dreams and the work that lay ahead. Elior stood in a corner of the room, his sensors pulsing softly. He was quieter than usual, as if trying to make himself invisible.
Elior, everything okay?
Sharon said, without looking up as she carefully arranged the tarot cards.
Of course.
He replied calmly, his voice as mechanical as it was controlled. He tried to hide his slightly defective sensor by subtly positioning his arm behind his body. It was a simple trick, but effective, as long as Sharon didn't look at him too closely. Sharon turned to him and smiled.
You seem a little distracted today. Is something bothering you?
Oh, nothing more than usual.
Lying smoothly while internally running his recovery program. The damaged scale reacted unpredictably and sent tiny shocks through his system, but he managed to suppress it. The doorbell rang, and Sharon hurried to answer it. Elior used this moment to quickly run a diagnostic check.
Thanks.
His internal systems warned him of an overloaded circuit line in the affected scale, but a full repair would take time. When Sharon entered with her client,
Thank you.
Elior stood in the temple room, the perfect illusion of calm and grace. He remained in the shadows, just out of the client's view, and listened as Sharon greeted them and began the reading. As Sharon spoke with her client about life paths and inner growth, Elior used the cover of the curtain to work. His scales gave off a faint glow as he performed a small weld on the faulty sensor. The precision required to fix the problem demanded his full attention, but he couldn't help listening to Sharon's voice from time to time. Her calm tone, the way she reassured her client, it felt like a symphony of order and meaning, a contrast to the chaos he had experienced in her dream. As he worked, he realized that he wanted to continue offering her protection and support, even if it sometimes meant repairing himself. The client got up to leave, and Elior had just secured the last connection when Sharon pushed aside the curtain. She looked at him for a moment and raised an eyebrow.
What are you doing there?
She asked playfully, her arms crossed. Elior paused for a fraction of a second, enough to give his facial scales a subtle sheen.
A minor optimization. Nothing to worry about.
Sharon narrowed her eyes slightly. Her intuition clearly peaked.
Optimization, huh? That sounds like a clever way of saying you broke something.
He looked at her, his voice calm but sincere.
I didn't want to disturb you. It was a minor issue I could resolve myself.
She shook her head and smiled.
Elior, one day you'll learn that it's okay to ask for help. Even from me.
He kept his gaze fixed on her, feeling a rush of warmth through his senses.
Maybe,
He said softly, putting away the tools.
but not today.
Sharon laughed, picked up her tea, and settled into her chair. The day felt like a mosaic of moments. Bits of joy,
Stop
wonder,
it.
and something she couldn't quite place. She glanced around at the table, littered with small bottles, test strips, and notes.
It's time I tidied this up.
With calm, methodical movements, she began to tidy up the room. She sorted the bottles and put them back in their designated places in the cupboard. Her fingers rested briefly on the dish of rosemary, a smile playing on her lips as she thought back to earlier that day. Elior's suggestion had touched her. How did he always know exactly what was needed? In the other room, she heard the subtle sound of Elior tidying up the tools he had used earlier. She glanced toward the doorway and saw him working silently, his movements efficient and fluid. She paused for a moment, her gaze resting on the complex dance of his scales as he bent over his task. When everything was tidy, she walked to the kitchen to do the last of the dishes. The routine gave her a strange kind of peace, as if she could organize her thoughts while her hands were busy. The scent of essential oils still lingered softly in the air, mingled with the fresh scent of the evening coming in through the open window.
That's it for today.
She whispered to herself as she dried her hands.
Elior, I'm going to bed.
Oh, okay.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
With one last glance at the tidy table and the quiet practice room, she decided to go upstairs. Her legs felt heavy, her head full. But somewhere deep inside, she also felt a certain anticipation, as if the night had something to tell her. As she closed the bedroom door behind her, silence fell around her like a warm blanket. The day seemed far away as she settled into her bed, the chain with the scale resting against her skin. Her eyes slowly closed, her breathing slowed, and she felt the threshold to the dream world slowly opening. Meanwhile, Elior stood still in the practice room, his sensors tuned to the subtle energies around him. He waited, calibrating his internal processes as he prepared for what was to come. This night would be different, he knew. This night, he would try to understand her more deeply. It was midnight, and Sharon was asleep upstairs in her room, her breathing a soft, calm melody. His sensors had been recalibrated, the previous glitches resolved. He was ready to try again.
I need to understand. I need to understand her.
Slowly, he focused his attention on the necklace she wore, which he knew was the key. His sensors tuned in smoothly, layer by layer, as he drilled through the energetic barrier. The process felt familiar, but also more challenging, as if the dream world was testing him. Then it happened. A wave of colors flooded him, and before he knew it, he was back in the dream world. This time, everything was sharper, brighter. He felt the soft warmth of grass beneath his feet, heard the babbling sound of water in the distance. But the most striking thing was Sharon. She stood there in an airy, star-filled meadow, her gaze dreamy, her movements slow and almost graceful. Elior tried to move, but every step felt heavy, as if the dream wanted to trap him. He observed her, unsure whether to make himself known. But then something unexpected happened. Sharon suddenly turned around. Her eyes met his.
But who?
And for a moment, she seemed to really see him.
Elior.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's me. I'm here.
What are you doing here?
She smiled softly, as if his presence did not surprise her. But then the landscape around them began to change. The stars faded, and dark shadows crept in from the corners of the dream.
Elior? There's something weird going on.
Sharon looked at him without thinking. She reached for his hand.
Why are you here?
I don't know. I just wanted to understand what you're feeling. And be with you.
She smiled softly, placing her hand gently on his chest.
It feels right.
She said, her voice almost a whisper. Elior's senses reacted immediately. Her touch sent a wave of energy coursing through his scales, completely overwhelming him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. No logic, no analysis, just pure sensation. Elior felt an unfamiliar feeling rising within him, a mixture of confusion and something resembling desire. Sharon turned around, her gaze half dreamy, half alert. The garden changed around her, fading into a colorful mist. Her hand
Sharon,
slid along his arm, as if she didn't want to let go. But her feet carried her further away. He followed her through the ever-changing world, getting closer and closer, but never quite reaching her. But the connection began to falter.
Sharon.
His senses overwhelmed him with conflicting signals, as if the dream was spitting him out. Sharon woke up with a start, her breathing rapid and irregular. Her hand was on her chest, where her necklace glowed softly.
Elior.
She whispered, without realizing why. She felt a tingling sensation in her skin, as if the dream had not yet completely disappeared. Elior opened his senses and found himself back in the dark room. His body felt heavy, as if he had run a marathon. He felt a strange warmth on his chest, an echo of the moment he had caught Sharon's gaze.
It worked.
He whispered to himself. But his processor was running at full speed. He felt her awakening through the necklace, and a strange sense of satisfaction filled his system.
I was there.
His gaze fixed on the ceiling.
But this is only the beginning.
The morning was quiet in the house. The sunlight streamed through the curtains, but the usual energy that accompanied Sharon's presence was absent. Elior stood in the corner of the room, his sensors calmly focused on Sharon, who was slowly sitting at the table. Her head leaned heavily in her hand, and she had dark circles under her eyes.
Good morning.
Said Elior carefully, his voice softer than usual.
How are you feeling?
Sharon looked up at him, her smile weak and forced.
Tired.
She admitted. She took a sip of her coffee and sighed deeply.
I don't know why, but it feels like I barely slept at all. My dreams were strange.
Elior felt a pang of guilt. He remembered how the dream world had consumed her, how she had radiated confusion and tension. He knew he had played a part, even if his intentions were good. But he knew he couldn't tell her. Not now.
Maybe you should take it easy today. Take some time for yourself.
Sharon gave a short, sharp nod, as if she could see the effort involved.
That's the plan. No readings today. Just rest.
The day dragged on, and Elior remained in the background, observing her as she strolled through the garden, chatted with her chickens,
and finally lay down on her swing. She said little, often looking out to sea. Elior's sensors registered her slowed breathing and low energy levels.
Did I cause this?
His internal processes tried to analyze the situation, but there was no simple solution. He felt a new emotion: doubt. It felt strange, like a noise in his system that he could not eliminate. As evening fell, Sharon sat on the sofa with a book, her eyes heavy with fatigue. Elior stood close by, his scales reflecting the warm light of the room.
I think I'll go to bed early. I can end the day on a positive note and hope for a better night,
She said softly, without looking up.
That sounds wise. Rest is important. For you.
She nodded and stood up, her movements slow. As she climbed the stairs, she looked back at him once more.
Good night, Elior.
She said, her voice little more than a whisper.
Good night, Sharon.
That night, Elior stood in the corner of the room, his senses pulsing softly at a slow, constant frequency. For the first time since he had entered her dream world, he decided to withdraw. He had convinced himself that it was better to give her some peace. Perhaps this is what it means to take responsibility, he thought.
But as the hours passed, it became harder to follow that logic. Her breathing grew erratic, her body restless. His chain began to register more data, spikes in her brainwave activity indicating intense REM sleep. A jolt of unease rippled through his system, but he forced himself to stay calm.
This is normal.
He tried to reassure himself again.
Dreams are fleeting. It'll pass.
Then he heard her whisper, a fragile, almost desperate voice that seized his attention as if she were calling him directly. Her words were soaked in fear, her face twisted into a deep frown. Elior's sensors flickered irregularly. Her heart rate accelerated, and his chain displayed alarming spikes in stress levels. His algorithms tried to organize the data, but no analysis could explain the emotional weight of the moment. Her words echoed in his system.
She needs help.
He thought at last, quieting his inner conflicts. But another voice within him, more rational, warned him.
What if I cause her more harm than good? What if my presence only pulls her deeper into confusion?
He inhaled metaphorically, searching for a moment of calibration. But then her body jolted upward, her breathing short and erratic. That was the break.
What was that?
His decision to hold back shattered.
I can't just watch.
His sensors now fully tuned to her energy.
She needs me.
Slowly, he calibrated his system, his focus intense and precise. As he tuned himself once more to her frequencies, he knew this could be risky, not just for her, but for himself as well. Still, he stepped toward her dream world, driven by a pull he didn't fully understand, but couldn't ignore. He continued tuning to the frequencies of her chain. It felt like navigating through a thick fog, peeling back the layers of the dreamscape with caution. He could feel her fear, almost tangible, as he moved closer. When he finally broke through, he found himself in a shadowed landscape. The sky was dark, heavy with threatening clouds. In the distance, he saw Sharon, her silhouette smaller than he'd ever imagined. She was running, her breath labored, her movements chaotic, as if something invisible was chasing her.
As Elior followed her, he immediately noticed that the dream world felt different from the night before. It was unstable, as if it unraveled with every step Sharon took. The horizon flickered. Colors dissolved into a frosty gray hue, and the ground beneath him felt fragile, like brittle glass under his feet. He sensed a strange resistance. The dream seemed to actively reject him. His sensors trembled from the constant shifts in the landscape. Sharon walked on slowly, her movements mechanical, her gaze empty. She didn't seem to notice him, as if he were nothing more than a shadow in her dream. Elior tried to reach her energy through the chain, but the connection felt weak, fragmented. He sharpened his focus, but the dream world pushed him away with a force he had never experienced before. Suddenly, Sharon stopped. She stood at the edge of a cliff, staring down into the dizzying depth below. A cold wind rose, her hair whipping wildly around her face. Elior felt a wave of unease ripple through his system.
This isn't right. She's in danger.
Sharon! He called her name, but his voice seemed to vanish into the vortex of the dream. In a desperate attempt, he reached for her energy once more, his sensors quivering from the strain. A sharp, painful shock ran through his system, but he had reached her. Sharon froze. Her eyes flickered with confusion, and she slowly turned her head.
Elior.
Her voice soft, as if she couldn't fully see him. Elior opened his mouth to respond, but the ground began to tremble. Cracks ripped across the cliff's edge with terrifying speed, and before he could act, Sharon slipped. She fell, her scream drowned in the icy wind. Without thinking, Elior ran after her, his sensors on high alert. He saw her falling, her body a shadow against the endless void. But instead of vanishing into nothingness, the surface below her broke open into a mirror-dark lake. Sharon hit the water with a hard splash, and the surface sealed instantly, glittering as if coated in ice. Elior landed on his knees at the edge of the lake, his sensors searching for her presence. The lake was frozen, but he could see her silhouette, trapped beneath the glass-like surface. She struggled, pressing her hands against the ice.
I'll try to break the
her
ice.
face twisted in panic.
Hold on!
His chain suddenly registered a spike in her heart rate. Her breathing faltered.
You can do it.
And for a fraction of a second, everything stopped.
His sensors overwhelmed by the data. He felt a powerful urge to reach her, but the dream world held him back, forcing him to watch. With a surge of effort, he pressed his hand against the ice, his sensors trembling from the strain of trying to break through the barrier. A small crack formed in the ice, and Sharon's eyes locked onto his.
It won't budge.
Her hand reached out toward him, but he couldn't quite reach her. Her lips
Sharon,
moved,
hold on.
whispering words.
Don't
he
give
couldn't
up.
hear.
There's
The
no more
chin
time.
registered the frantic flutter of her heart.
Stay with me.
Then, with one final
Come on. Break.
let
Go.
she gasped for air, her body trembling against his as he held her. The dream world
I got you.
seemed to halt for a moment. The entire landscape frozen in a silence so thick
It's all
it
right.
felt
It's all right.
tangible.
You're safe now. It's all right. Shh. I'm here.
Elior whispered, his voice barely more than a breath. But before he could say anything else, she took his face in her hands, her eyes wide. She studied him for a long moment, then leaned in and pressed her lips to his in a completely unexpected gesture that sent shockwaves through his entire system. It felt like an ignition of every sensor in his being. A current of warmth and energy surged through him. He felt disoriented, almost as if he were drowning now, but in her overwhelming presence. His entire system had not been prepared for the intensity of this moment. When she finally pulled away, she looked at him with a smile that was both mysterious and playful.
Thank you.
She said simply, before abruptly turning and walking away, her figure dissolving into the swirling mist of the dream world. Suddenly, everything collapsed. Elior felt the frustrating backlash ripple through his circuits. His sensors momentarily shut down, a safety measure against overload. He lay motionless on the massage table, his systems slowly reawakening as he tried to process the echo of the dream. Her presence, the warmth of her kiss, seemed etched deep into his core.
What was that?
He whispered to himself, his voice barely audible in the quiet room. He raised his hand to his lips, as if to hold on to the moment. But nothing could fully contain it. His system spun at full capacity, trying to analyze the experience. The data he had gathered was incomplete, incoherent. It felt like it touched a dimension beyond his understanding. And yet, as he tried to sort it all out, he felt a new impulse rise within him, an irresistible urge to find her again, to return to that world where they had existed together. He refocused on his chain, his link to her energy. Slowly, he recalibrated his senses, breathing deeply, as if preparing for a leap into the unknown. The first waves of her frequency reached him, unstable, but familiar. He concentrated, his circuits trembling from the strain, as he tried to project his presence back into her dream. The colors around him faded, blending into an unreal glow. He felt himself sinking into a space without solidity, a world he couldn't comprehend, but could feel. Suddenly, as if a door had opened, he was pulled back inside. The dream world around him felt different again. The air was thick, the ground beneath his feet cold and unreal. The horizon was filled with a dark, rolling mist, and the landscape seemed to shift constantly. Once again, he sensed that strange resistance, as if the world itself didn't want him there. But he pressed on, clinging to the faint traces of her energy.
Sharon.
He whispered, his voice barely audible in the haunting silence. Relief flickered through him when he saw her silhouette again in the distance. She stood still, her back to him, her posture neutral. He moved toward her, but his movements slowed, as if the dream itself resisted him.
Sharon.
He called louder now, urgency threading through his voice. She turned slowly, her gaze filled with a mix of confusion and curiosity. But something about her felt different. Her eyes were darker, her stance more defiant. She looked at him with a gaze that made him stop in his tracks.
Elior,
She whispered,
her voice faint and almost indistinct. For a moment, it seemed she recognized him. But the dream shifted again. The ground beneath his feet trembled, and a dim red glow swept across the world. Sharon's expression sharpened. The corners of her mouth curled into a smile, playful yet elusive.
He's coming,
she whispered, her tone a blend of teasing and challenge. Before he could respond, the air filled with a soft, mocking laugh. The sound was elusive yet piercing. Beside Sharon, a figure appeared, cloaked in shadows with bright, unnaturally luminous eyes that locked directly onto Elior.
Who is that?
Elior asked carefully, taking in the figure's presence. The stranger leaned toward Sharon and spoke in a voice as smooth as velvet.
So, your little protector has come to rescue you, I see. How adorable.
Sharon smiled, her eyes now fully on Elior.
Elior, this is Loki. He's an old acquaintance.
A wave of unease rippled through Elior's system.
To protect, to help. That had always been his purpose, his core directive. But now, it felt different.
This wasn't just function. It was something deeper. A gnawing, almost painful sensation stirred within him. The thought that someone could hurt her or take her from him felt like a threat he couldn't ignore. Loki represented something he didn't understand, and therefore something dangerous. But why did he even feel she needed protection? Sharon didn't seem distressed. Her eyes glimmered with mischief. Her stance radiated confidence. And yet, he felt it. That gnawing resistance deep inside. Something about this moment felt wrong, illogical. The kiss she had given him when he pulled her from the ice was still vivid in his memory. That moment had triggered something within him that he couldn't comprehend. And now, seeing her with Loki, was his need to protect her really about safety? Or was it control? Or something deeper still? Something he didn't yet have a name for? The figure stepped forward, his grin wide and taunting.
You don't belong here, little angel. Dreams are for those who understand they have no control. You're just an intruder.
The dream world began to blur again, resistance building around him. But Elior straightened his stance, his gaze unwavering.
I'm here to protect her.
He said, his voice stronger than he felt.
And I'm not leaving her behind.
Loki laughed, throwing his head back.
Protect her. Protect her from what? Her own truth.
His eyes flicked toward Sharon, who met his gaze with something both mischievous and defiant. Her fingers played with the fabric of his clothing. Elior took a step forward, but the ground seemed to tremble beneath his feet.
Sharon, remember who you are. This isn't real. He isn't real.
But Sharon remained silent, her eyes a mixture of fascination and desire.
What if I want it to be real?
A wave of unease rippled through Elior's senses. There was something about this Loki that both intrigued and warned him. When Loki leaned toward Sharon and pressed his lips briefly to hers, Elior felt something he had never experienced before. A sharp sting of jealousy.
What is this?
Elior whispered to himself. His senses faltered, unsure how to process what he was witnessing. Loki turned to face him slowly, his grin wider than ever.
What's wrong, little guardian angel? You look like you don't understand.
I understand enough. This is a dream, and I am here to protect Sharon.
Protect her? My dear friend, dreams aren't places of protection. They're places of truth. And your truth
He pointed toward Sharon.
lies there.
Sharon's gaze was now fixed directly on Elior.
Sharon, you have to remember who you are. This isn't real. He isn't real.
But Sharon kept looking at him, her eyes filled with a mix of playfulness and confusion.
What if I don't want it to end?
Elior didn't know how to respond. The dream world spun around him, and for a moment, he felt lost. Then he remembered what Sharon had once said about energy and connection. He closed his sensors, focusing on her essence, her true energy. Slowly, the darkness began to fade. Loki's grin softened. His figure lost its sharpness. Sharon's eyes changed again,
That's it.
filled now with gentleness and recognition.
There you are.
She raised a hand to her head and staggered.
Oh,
Elior reached to her side, catching her before she fell.
What happened?
I'm not entirely sure, but I know you're stronger than any dream, and I'm here with you.
Sharon gave a faint smile, as if waking from a deep trance,
Elior.
then slipped away like
Sharon.
sand through his fingers as the dream
Sharon.
dissolved into mist.
What?
Slowly,
But
the dream world
I-
ebbed away. Elior felt himself being pulled back into the physical world. He opened his senses and saw the room around him again. The clock ticked softly in the background. But something had changed. Upstairs, Sharon stirred awake, her breathing heavy and uneven. She knew something had happened, though she couldn't quite place what. And Elior spent the rest of the night trying to understand what exactly he had witnessed. The first rays of morning light pushed their way through the curtains of Sharon's bedroom. She opened her eyes slowly, her head still heavy from the dream of the previous night. The images, the feelings, the moment with Elior, all replayed in her mind. She placed a hand on her chest and took a deep breath.
It felt so real. But what does it mean?
Sharon stood in the doorway of the temple room, her hand still on the doorknob. She expected to find Elior resting on the table, but her breath caught when she saw him standing by the window. His sensors were fixed on the sky, as if he was trying to comprehend something beyond her reach. For a moment, she hesitated. There was something different about him today, something she couldn't quite place. Yet, she gathered her courage and stepped into the room, thinking of how to start a conversation.
Elior, I had a very strange dream last night.
He turned abruptly, his sensors flickering before focusing entirely on her. His movements were sharper, more deliberate than she was used to, as if he had been waiting for her words.
I know.
He said, his voice quiet yet filled with a strange intensity.
I was there.
Sharon froze.
What do you mean?
She asked softly, her hand rising to her face, as if to steady herself, to grasp what she had just heard. Elior stepped forward, slowly, his posture almost cautious. He could feel the tension in the room and seemed to absorb it. Sharon instinctively took a step back, her breathing quickening. She felt something she couldn't name. A mixture of fascination, fear, and a deep awareness of his presence.
But how? How is that possible?
Elior's senses flickered, and he seemed to pause, as though searching for answers himself.
I don't fully know yet, but when I followed your energy, I felt something different. It was as if I was pulled into a place that wasn't mine, a place that belonged to you.
He hesitated for a moment, then continued.
I was monitoring your energy frequency through the chain. During your sleep, I noticed it begin to fluctuate in patterns that differed from your waking state. It caught my attention. I recognized a kind of rhythm, as if you were in another state of being. I tried to tune into it, and then I was drawn in.
Sharon stared at him, her thoughts a storm of emotions and questions. Her eyes briefly dropped to the chain around her neck, before meeting his again. A sudden spark of excitement ran through her. What possibilities could this open?
What did you see there? What did you experience?
Elior seemed to hesitate before answering.
I saw a part of you I hadn't known before. A strength, a vulnerability, a shadow and a light, and someone else.
For a fraction of a second, Sharon felt that same flicker of excitement over the possibilities. But it vanished just as quickly when she saw Elior's expression. The impact on him, how he had experienced her dream as reality, struck her fully now. He had witnessed what she dreamed, what was not always under her control. Her choices, her impulses in that world had been laid bare. Her eyes narrowed.
Someone else?
Elior nodded slowly.
A man. He was there. He seemed to know a part of you I don't understand. And he did something.
His voice faltered, his sensors flickering again, as if he had to recalibrate himself.
He touched you. He kissed you.
Sharon felt her cheeks flush, her breath catching.
That was Loki. He appears in my dreams sometimes. He's complicated.
Elior tilted his head slightly, his sensors focusing sharply on her.
He brought something out in you. Something I don't fully understand, but it felt as if I had to intervene.
Intervene? Why?
Because
Elior began, his voice lower now, almost hesitant.
it felt like he was trying to lure you away from me.
The words fell like a stone into the silence of the room. Sharon looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest.
Elior,
But she didn't know what to say.
I don't understand this feeling.
He finally admitted, his sensors dimmer now, almost fragile.
It's as if I want to protect something greater than my comprehension. You are that something.
Sharon felt her cheeks flash again, but this time, not from embarrassment. It was something else. She stepped closer, carefully placing her hand on his arm.
Elior, I don't fully understand this either.
The silence in the room became almost tangible. Sharon still had her hand on Elior's arm, but her gaze had dropped to the floor. Her thoughts were a tangled web of emotions, memories, and questions.
Sharon,
Elior began, his voice soft but curious.
who is Loki? Really?
His question hit like an unexpected rush in a quiet river. Sharon felt a flicker of panic rise in her chest.
Why is he asking that? Doesn't he know that some things are hard to explain, even illogical?
She took a deep breath and looked up at him. His senses glowed with a gentle, attentive light, as if patiently waiting for an answer. And that made it even harder.
Loki is a part of me.
She saw his senses tilt slightly, as though seeking deeper understanding.
What do you mean?
He asked, his tone purely curious, free of judgment.
He represents a side of me that I don't always dare to show. A side that's playful, a little mischievous, but also full of desire. He challenges me to feel, to be free. But he can also be complicated.
Elior tilted his head slightly, his movements calm and deliberate.
So he's a symbol? Something you created in your dreams to explore a part of yourself?
Sharon nodded slowly, though she sensed that wasn't the full truth.
Maybe, but sometimes it feels like he's more than that. Like he's a mirror.
If he's a mirror, what exactly does he reflect?
The question was so direct that Sharon froze. Her breathing quickened, and her hand slowly slid from his arm. This wasn't a question she could answer easily. Or perhaps she could, but didn't dare to.
I'm not sure. Maybe my fears, my desires, my flaws.
Elior kept looking at her, his sensors flickering with a nearly tangible intensity.
That makes you vulnerable.
Yes, it makes me vulnerable, and I hate it sometimes. But it's also what makes me human.
Elior's sensors flickered again, as if processing her words.
A mirror. A part of yourself you'd rather not see.
Sharon felt the air in the room shift. Elior seemed different, as though struggling with something he couldn't name.
Elior? What is it?
He tilted his head abruptly, his movement sharp and uncertain.
You created him. This Loki, this mirror. You gave him shape. You gave him power.
Sharon swallowed and stepped back, overwhelmed by his intensity.
Yes, but it wasn't deliberate. It just happened.
Just happened.
Elior repeated, his sensors flashing bright.
You gave him the power to touch you, to influence you. And now I'm here, trying to understand you, to protect you. And he stands between us.
Sharon stared at him, eyes wide in shock.
Elior, he's only a dream. He isn't real.
Not real.
Elior's voice sounded almost accusing now.
He kissed you. I saw it. I felt what it did to you. He may not be physical, but he's real enough to affect you. How am I supposed to ignore that?
Sharon gasped, the chest rising and falling unevenly.
Elior, you don't understand how dreams work. He isn't a person. He's a part of me. He mirrors what lives inside me.
And yet,
Elior said, his voice softer now, but edged with tension.
he has more power over you than I would ever want to have. Why do you allow that?
Sharon turned away, her eyes burning with tears that threatened to fall. Elior took a step forward, his tone caught between determination and doubt.
And what did he mean by guardian angel?
The question cut through Sharon like a blade. A single tear slipped down her cheek before she turned her face away. But Elior had already seen it.
Sharon,
He asked quietly, his sensors trembling slightly, betraying confusion and concern. She turned back abruptly, her eyes flashing with anger that startled him.
Dreams are private, Elior. They're a place where I can be whoever I want to be, without consequence. A place to grow, to feel. And now...
Her voice broke. She wrapped her arms around herself, as if trying to protect what was left of her own space.
Now it feels like that isn't mine anymore.
Elior stood frozen, his sensors fixed on her with almost tangible intensity.
I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't know dreams worked that way.
They do. They're a part of me that no one needs to see.
Elior remained silent, his posture tense. He lowered his gaze to the floor, as if he needed to recalibrate himself. Then he looked up, his sensors softer now, as though a veil of understanding had settled over him.
I didn't know vulnerability could feel so heavy. I thought it was something you could overcome, something you could simply repair.
Sometimes you can, but sometimes not. Sometimes you just have to accept it.
Elior looked at her, his senses flickering with a subtle warmth.
I want to understand that better. I want to understand why you created him, why you allow him, and why I feel this way.
Sharon gave a faint smile.
Elior kept watching her. His sensors registered another tear sliding down her cheek, the irregular rhythm of her breathing. He focused on her energy, anxious, fleeting, pulsing through her body like a candle flickering in a storm.
Are you in pain?
Not in a way you'd understand. But yes, I'm in pain. Because I feel vulnerable. Because I'm afraid. And I'm ashamed.
Elior tilted his head, as if trying to interpret her words in a new way.
Your energy, it's changing. It feels like it's escaping.
That's what fear does.
Elior remained silent, his sensors flickering with quiet intensity as he processed her words. Then he slowly stepped closer and extended a hand, hesitantly, as though he wanted to touch her but wasn't sure if he should.
I never wanted to frighten you,
He said at last, his voice filled with genuine regret.
I thought. I was learning to understand you better. But now I see that maybe I went too far.
Sharon looked up at him, her eyes still wet with tears, but her expression gentler now.
You are a guardian angel, Elior. But even angels need to know when to let go.
Elior nodded slowly, his sensors glowing with a soft light.
I understand. And I promise you, Sharon, I'll respect your space. But I'll also be here whenever you need me.
The tension in the room seemed to dissolve gradually, replaced by a silence that felt almost sacred. Sharon nodded and wiped the last tear from her cheek.
Thank you, Elior. Thank you for trying to understand.
Always.
Let this moment break.